Good evening. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Greater New Brunswick area, the League of Women Voters of New Jersey, and the New Brunswick branch of the NAACP, I am pleased to welcome you to this forum. My name is Stephen Lax, Voter Education Chair of the Greater New Brunswick Area League, and I'll be your co-host this evening. The League of Women Voters of New Jersey, a nonpartisan political organization, encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. Elections and voting are core concerns for the League of Women Voters. We are committed to providing fact-based information about issues and the positions candidates take on those issues to help voters make their own decisions and participate in the process. We thank the candidates for participating and the residents of New Brunswick for taking their time to view this forum. If you would like to participate in any of these efforts, the League of Women Voters of the Greater New Brunswick area welcomes members, both men and women. You may find more information about us and contact information at lwvgnba.com. Neither of our organizations support or oppose candidates for office or political parties. Any use of the League's name or the NAACP's name or of footage from the forum and campaign materials, literature, or advertising of any kind, including internet, cable, or television, has not been authorized by the League of Women Voters or the NAACP. I would now like to introduce Bruce Morgan, President of the New Brunswick Area Branch of the NAACP, for his introductory remarks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bruce Morgan. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's New Brunswick Mayoral Forum. I am the President of the New Brunswick Area Branch of the NAACP. I also am the first Vice President for the New Jersey State Conference of the NAACP. And I have a role on the National Board with the Resolutions Committee. Like our colleagues at the League of Women Voters, the NAACP is nonpartisan. Plainly stated, that means we do not support any individual candidates or parties, nor do we oppose individual candidates or parties. Having said that, you must know that the NAACP is a very political, and we vigorously support initiatives or platforms that are in line with the NAACP goals and objectives. We will and do advocate against initiatives or platforms that do run countercurrent to the NAACP agenda. Your vote is your power to elect representatives to government who will carry forth items to make your life better. We are committed to educating members of our community. This is why we present forums such as this as a means of educating you about the candidates on the November ballot and how they will address issues important to you. An educated voter is a well-armed, informed voter. The League of Women Voters State Office has assigned Ed Gracely of the Camden County League to be the moderator for our forum this evening. Ed is a longtime moderator, former State League of Women Voters board member, and former treasurer. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Ed Gracely.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the forum. League policy is that the moderator must not be eligible to vote in the election being moderated, and therefore should have no personal interest in the outcome. I live in Winslow Township, way down in Camden County. Let me introduce the timekeeper and the basic structure of the forum. The timekeeper is Sanjana. She will give 30 seconds warning to the candidates by holding up the 30 seconds card. You show them that card. Thank you. And she will signal that time is up by showing the time card. Oh, okay. I will allow candidates to briefly finish a sentence, but please come quickly to a conclusion when the time has run out. In this election, we have 3 candidates for mayor. One of the candidates is the incumbent. 2 of the candidates have joined us this evening. The incumbent is unable to join us, but has provided a statement that I will read. The forum will begin with opening statements, followed by questions prepared and vetted in advance by the sponsoring organizations. It will end with closing statements in the reverse order of the opening. I will remind both candidates to stick to issues relevant to the office of mayor and not to bring in personal matters or other matters unrelated to that office. I picked a candidate to start randomly, after which we'll alternate which candidate goes first. So let's begin with the opening statements. I'm going to start with Charlie Quatterville, and then we'll obviously go to Maria Powell after that. They each have 3 minutes with a 30-second warning. Charlie Quatterville.
Thank you, Mr. Gracely, and thank you to the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for organizing this important public forum. And thank you, Ms. Powell, and everyone out there who's taking the time to watch this. Unfortunately, our 8-term incumbent mayor didn't think it was important enough to join us tonight. And I think his absence speaks volumes. Sadly, it's become the norm for New Brunswick's mayor to be MIA. Despite mass homelessness and a growing violent crime crisis here, our top official is often silent and nowhere to be found. Back in June, I was honored to march in New Brunswick's Juneteenth parade, a great tradition here in the Remsen Avenue neighborhood. But as we enjoyed the day, some of us couldn't help but ask, where's the mayor? Later that month, the United States Supreme Court issued a devastating ruling overturning the longstanding Roe v. Wade precedent. Since then, there's been a number of rallies opposing this dreadful decision, and I've been the only New Brunswick mayor candidate to show up for these important actions, leaving many to ask once again, where's the mayor? When people from other towns come to our city council meetings, they're often confused and left asking that same question, where's the mayor? Our mayor hasn't shown up to a city council meeting in over 10 years. He doesn't even have an email address, and he doesn't work full time. Instead, he splits his time between his private clients at his law firm and another public job working for another town. And so tonight, yet again, we find ourselves asking that question, where's the mayor? By not showing up tonight for what could be the only candidate forum in this important election, the mayor is disrespecting each and every New Brunswick resident. The unaccountable, self-serving culture at City Hall starts at the top, and that's why Mr. Cahill's police director also refuses to attend government meetings and does not engage with the public on a regular basis. When I'm elected, that will change, and we will foster a culture of public service. Our city has great potential, but we can only achieve this potential if we have a full-time mayor, one with no side jobs or side businesses, one who will fully devote themselves to serving our residents and meeting their needs day in and day out. The truth is, the current mayor cares more about land deals and real estate development than he does about the people and families of New Brunswick. He made that clear with his failed downtown supermarket project, which led to a credit rating downgrade for us. He made that clear when he kicked the kids out of the Lincoln Annex School, sending them to a warehouse owned by one of his political donors so Robert Wood Johnson could expand. And he continues to make it clear with every out-of-touch development he forces through. If I'm elected, I'll work hard to make our city safer, more affordable, and protect our environment for the next generation. It's time we have new energy in City Hall, and I'm ready to put the people of New Brunswick first.
Thank you. Maria Powell.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very, very honored to be part of this amazing forum and this debate. I thank you very, very much for participating with us. Charlie, good evening. And I am very, very honored to participate with all of you. The year was 1967. I was only 13 years old. And President Ronald Reagan was a governor in the state of California at that time. My parents and the leadership of Mr. Ronald Reagan taught me what it is to be part of a great community and also to be part of progress, unity, and most importantly, progress for all. I have had the example of my parents in public service. Mr. Ronald Reagan became the President of the United States in 1981, and he passed one of the most amazing executive orders for the migrants of this country, which was the amnesty program. My family and millions of Americans were part of all of that in 1985. In 1985, I was 17 years old, and I engaged in the most amazing journey of my entire life. I have been working very, very hard in public service, also in the private and public sectors. The reason that I'm running for mayor of the city of New Brunswick is because I don't like the state of our city. I don't like what's happening in this city. I've been in this city for almost 6 years, and I've seen progressively things getting worse and worse and worse for each and every one in the most important part of all of this, the families of this beautiful city. After COVID, post-COVID, things have gone really, really bad for all of us, especially the business owners. Our business owners have suffered tremendously through the shutdown. And through the shutdown, we haven't seen the mayor participating with any of the business owners. Me as a business owner, business entrepreneur, and philanthropist, I know what it's like to worry every single week to meet payroll, to pay taxes, to pay the rent. So when I become the mayor of the city, I will be on top of all of these issues and work very, very hard for the most important part of all of this.
Thank you. Okay, I will now read the statement by Jim Cahill. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for the opportunity to participate in this evening's event. Unfortunately, because of scheduling conflicts, I am unable to attend. I have lived in New Brunswick my entire life. The opportunity to serve as your mayor has allowed me to pay it forward. Along with our city council, a dedicated workforce, and all of you, we have transformed this once declining industrial city into a thriving 21st century urban center. Working together, there is a lot we have accomplished. New Brunswick has experienced a remarkable 73% drop in crime. Like the rest of the nation, we began to see a spike in violent crime in the latter part of 2020, but the stellar efforts of the NBPD and its law enforcement partners have removed these violent offenders from our streets. In 2022, we have seen a return to our pre-COVID trends in the reduction of crime. We built 6,000 new homes for all income levels, including those who do not have any income at all. More than 20% of the city's housing units are designated as affordable, public, or subsidized. The residential growth of our city continues with more than 1,000 units and 200 public, low, and moderate income homes approved and in the pipeline for construction. We have created 8,000 new jobs for New Brunswick residents, reducing the unemployment rate to just 2.9%, the lowest of any New Jersey city and lower than the state and the region. With more than 1.5 billion in construction taking place right now and the continued growth of small business, job development remains strong in New Brunswick. It is important to note that the $5 billion invested in New Brunswick redevelopment produces more than $24 million a year in direct tax relief and expanded and improved services for city residents. Through redevelopment, we provide new and expanded schools and parks throughout the city, a senior resource center second to none, award-winning youth programming, tens of millions of dollars in upgrades to our water and sewer infrastructure, as well as green and clean energy initiatives, a safer city with highly trained and professional community-minded police and fire departments. We make every dollar count. For 3 straight years, we have cut and stabilized municipal property taxes. New Brunswick residents now enjoy the lowest taxes in Middlesex County. Our goals remain the same as the first day I took office: to deliver great services at the best cost, to create jobs and put more people to work than ever before so they can better better care of themselves and their families, to create homes for all income levels, including those without any income at all, so everyone can live in a clean, safe, and affordable home, to provide more access to healthcare and fresh, nutritious, and affordable food, to provide our children a nurturing environment and the opportunity to excel in their academic pursuits, to continue to be a city that provides people the opportunity for a better life and a community they are proud to call home. I ask for your support for me and my running mates for City Council, Kevin Egan, Rebecca Escobar, Petra Gavins, and Manny Castaneda. Thank you. All right. Now we come to the questions for the candidates. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond with a 30-second warning. After both have responded, they will each have 30 seconds to rebut, with only a time warning at the end. We're not going to give a warning in the middle of a 30-second period. Candidates do not have to use the rebuttal if they do not feel the use for it. So the candidates sort of answered this question, but I think it's always worth to ask it specifically and really get to it. What qualities and experiences do you have that you believe makes you the best candidate to serve as mayor? And we will start with Maria Powell. You have 2 minutes.
I am the best qualified individual for this position. I have over 48 years of experience in public administration. Also, I have more than 30 years of experience with the nonprofit sector, and most importantly, with the private sector, which is our taxpayers. I have a great success in developing policies, not just in the state of California, but all across the United States in regards to business development, the economy of this nation, and also policies for state, local, and federal government. I am the most qualified individual to service the families and every single one person in the city of New Brunswick, because I know firsthand the disparities in all of the needs that each and every family has in the state of, the city of New Brunswick. I am also qualified to run and manage the big budgets of the city at every single level, starting with safety, water conservation, also anything and everything that has to do with economic development for our city. So I am the most qualified person because I understand the needs of every single family, men, women, and children of the city.
Thank you. Charlie Pradigo.
Yes, thank you for the question. Many people know me as a reporter and investigative journalist. I got my degree from Rutgers in journalism and media studies and had a variety of experiences at Rutgers that taught me how great New Brunswick is and how important it is to hold leaders accountable. So as a journalist, I've attended over 200 city council meetings. I've also been able to do organizing and activism and blessed to work for many different nonprofit organizations during my time here, fighting for things like clean water, clean energy, and good government. And in the course of that work, I've seen how other cities operate, and I've seen how vastly different it is from the culture in New Brunswick, where a mayor who is often not present or not accessible is calling all the shots from behind the scenes. I want to open up the process and actually have our city be run with public input from people from every neighborhood. I think that's so critically important. And over the years I've been here, I've seen the leaders get more and more out of touch with the people they're supposed to represent. I'm a community-focused person. I live here on Sedam Street in the heart of New Brunswick. And as my work as a reporter and activist, I've gotten to know many of the issues that the families face here. I've covered them, I've investigated them, and I've actually helped make some big changes from the outside of the system. So I would ask the people of New Brunswick to give me their confidence and their faith to give me a shot to make changes from the inside, because after 10 years as an investigative reporter and an activist, I've learned a lot about what it takes to make a city that's actually inclusive, progressive, and make those positive changes that I know we all can agree on that we need. And I think I'm the candidate that can bring together our neighborhoods, unite New Brunswick, and empower the people here to make those changes.
Thank you. All right, in the same order, if either of you wants a rebuttal, another 30 seconds, raise your hand. No, seeing none, we'll go on to the next question. What are the critical issues that you see facing the community now, and how would you prioritize them? And this time we will start with Charlie Craneville.
Thanks for the question. I think most people agree that it's time for a change here. And the question is, what kind of change? So I'll tell you a little bit about my vision. I want a city where our government doesn't wait for a crisis to happen in order to take action. We already have a homelessness crisis. And if we don't take a different approach to solve it, it's going to get worse. We've got people living on the streets, living in parks, living on the riverbanks, and the establishment is not doing anything to fix the issue. That's why I released a 10-point plan to make housing more affordable through stronger rent control, inclusionary zoning, a right to counsel for people facing eviction. And ultimately, we need to take a housing first approach to getting the homeless the help they need. What we're doing now is not working. I think another issue that is plaguing our community is violent crime. We need a safer city. It's something that's holding back investment. It's holding back people from wanting to come here. And it's actually encouraging people to leave because they feel unsafe in their own neighborhoods, in their own homes. So again, we shouldn't wait for something bad to happen to act. My vision is to have non-criminal interventions for those in crisis, vulnerable people, where we can help them before they become victims or perpetrators of violent crime by getting them out of bad situations. That way, the police can focus on solving violent crimes. Unfortunately, we see 9 out of 10 serious crimes don't get solved here in New Brunswick. And we need the police to be more proactive, transparent, and accountable. We also need more positive activities for our youth. We used to have so much more, the neighborhood house, the YMCA, the YWCA. And right now, there's really not a lot for kids to do to stay out of trouble. And I want to make it a city where kids can build their skills and have a bright future and actually stick around for another generation and make their homes and families here.
Thank you. Maria Powell.
Yes, one of the biggest pressing issues that I see within our city is the economic recovery post-COVID. If we have business thriving for our city, we will have more taxes coming into our city to resolve all of our social issues, which is education, homelessness, safety, clean water, and the list goes on and on and on and on. I have a very, very big and extensive experience in regards to developing programs. And most importantly, I know what it takes to develop an economic recovery in regards to our business owners, business taxes, incentives, and most importantly, to give them the guidance and direction so they can thrive and they can also have part and involvement within our communities in regards to business development and also the workforce. If we have a bigger and stronger workforce, that means we have less crime in this city. So the plan, my plan of economic recovery post-COVID includes a comprehensive plan and tax incentives, and also not just with the local incentives, but also state and federal incentives to empower the business owners to be able to conclude, and also the programs of our cities in social and economic development recovery.
Thank you. Rebuttals? All right, then we'll do the next question. This one's a little bit long, so I'll repeat parts of it. What are your plans to keep housing affordable for New Brunswick's low and moderate income residents? Please discuss in terms of whether you support inclusionary zoning for all new residential construction, the development of the Sears property, and the use of tax credits, tax abatements. So those topics were inclusionary zoning, the Sears property, and tax credits, tax abatements. And we'll start with Maria Powell.
With my extensive experience in housing development, 30 plus years, I truly believe that the affordable housing should be a transitional housing program, not just for the homeless, but also for many, many families. A transitional program, it is very, very different of our affordable housing. Affordable housing, you have the families stay there for generation after generation. If we implement a housing for which is the transitional housing for our communities, that means that we prepare those families and the workforce to be in transitional process to become part of the workforce so they can all go back to work, create income, very, very, very good income, and also pay their taxes so they can go into a stable housing. I approve and I support transitional housing. And that's my plan for the city, transitional housing for thousands of families here in New Brunswick.
Thank you. Charlie Gradeville.
Yes, thank you for the question. I think you've hit on three issues that I have really strong feelings about, and my campaign has very clear positions on. With regard to inclusionary zoning, I'm proud to have proposed that New Brunswick pass an inclusionary zoning policy similar to the one that the city of Newark has, where developers are going to be required to include affordable housing in their major projects. I think that it's a travesty what happened with the Sears redevelopment project, where a developer came in with a proposal to build 720 housing units, 0 of them affordable. So that to me is unacceptable, because that turns that whole area into an exclusive enclave only for the wealthy. The cheapest unit there to start is supposed to be nearly $1,700 a month for a studio apartment. I think most New Brunswick residents cannot afford anywhere close to that. And, taking such a large site and making it an exclusive enclave for the rich with no affordable housing, no public transportation is a huge, huge planning mistake. And that's why I pushed against that. That's why I'm actually challenging that in the courts. And we're going to, when I'm elected, pass an inclusionary zoning policy. So something like that will never happen again. Finally, with regard to tax exemptions or abatements, long-term tax exemption law really needs to be revised by the state. It creates a perverse incentive for municipal governments to give away to developers a huge 30-year discount on their property taxes, while all the rest of us here, property taxpayers, have to actually make up the gap. And it really hurts our schools, because the way the funding is redistributed is in a way where the schools get 0%, as opposed to normally they get a cut of the property taxes. So I support these developments paying traditional property taxes, not getting a sweet deal, a huge discount for 30 years that comes at the expense of our public schools.
Thank you. Rebuttals? Seeing none, next question. Do our school children need more support from city government and Board of Education? If yes, what types of support, and how should the city and the board provide this support? And we'll start with Charlie Gradeville.
Yes, thank you for that. As I alluded to earlier, we don't have enough positive activities for our kids. A lot of times, the activities we do have are far away from where the kids live. So we have a teen center. It's on Joyce Kilmer Avenue, far from most neighborhoods. It's not central like it used to be when it was in downtown. We also used to have a YMCA, a YWCA, where kids would be able to learn to swim get all sorts of support. Those things were pushed out of downtown through the gentrification agenda of the mayor and his predecessor. And I think we need to refocus on the next generation. The city government can do amazing things to get kids to build their skills, whether it's sports or learning to play an instrument or having access to homework help and academic services. We do have some programs, but unfortunately, the major program we have, kids age out of when they become teenagers, which is the time when they need those programs the most. And so I think we could do a lot better than what we're doing now. We do need more community centers. I want to have access to computer technology for the children of New Brunswick in every single ward of the city. And we need a better public transportation system because most of the youth can't drive. Their parents are working or their parents don't have vehicles and they're not actually able to get to the limited services that we do have. If we had better public transportation, safe, clean, reliable, affordable public transportation, people without a car, including the next generation, the kids of New Brunswick, would be able to get to some of the services. So I'd like to build out better public transportation and more positive activities for our youth.
Thank you. Maria Powell.
Thank you. As a single mom for the past 40 years of my life, 3 children, I have fought for a much better education for my children. I have fought very, very hard so they can have a better chance in life, not just with the curriculum, but also with music, with different activities, everything that they needed to grow in a very, very safe environment. And I'm very, very glad that I did that. Throughout my career as a community developer and also in the city of in economic development, developing cities, I have developed many different projects for the youth in regards to not just social development, but also in all of the different needs, scholarships, and all of the different types of music, sports, the list goes on and on and on and on. I have over 40 years of experience in developing those programs for our youth. One of the things that I have dedicated my life to do with is fighting for women's rights and also for their children. I believe in the best interest of education for our children is in the best interest for our cities. So if we promote education at every level, we have better cities. We have cities that thrive. And that's one of my biggest commitments, to revise all of these programs and implement all of the programs that are needed for our children and our youth here in the city of New Brunswick.
Thank you. Rebuttals? No? All right, question 5. How would you increase education and job training opportunities for adults in the community? Please discuss ESL, English as a second language, and job training opportunities as part of your answer. And we'll start with Maria Powell.
Throughout my life and my entire profession, I have created, if not hundreds, but thousands and millions of jobs all throughout the United States of America, starting with the state of California. I know what it takes to build a very, very good workforce to make things better for our society. I have also created programs to and incentives at a local, state, and federal level to create jobs and opportunities for everyone across with no limits. One of the biggest thing in part of my curriculum is to create business development so we can implement the workforce, because if you don't have economic development and an economic development fair for everyone, we cannot have jobs for everyone. So we have to develop both at the same time. So part of my plan is to implement economic development, a fair economic development for our city, to implement the workforce And most importantly, not to leave anybody out, starting with the youth, because we can also put them to work. The homeless, we can put them to work. Everybody is included within this program. Nobody is left behind. And one of the biggest things for me in this part of my career is create jobs and opportunities for all.
Thank you. Charlie Gradeville.
Yes, thanks for the question. I think that we can do so much more than what we are doing now as a city when it comes to job training. I think a key thing is to focus on creating good jobs. And unfortunately, many of the jobs in New Brunswick, many of the jobs that are created are not good jobs. They're jobs that pay very low wages, that have very low job security. And often folks have to work long hours just to support themselves and their families, and even need to make unusual transportation arrangements that are sometimes dangerous just to get to those jobs. So what I would like to see is focusing on working with our biggest asset, Rutgers University, to help connect young people and adults with educational opportunities. Every day, tens of thousands of students are getting an education here in New Brunswick. And what we need to do is help create a pathway for more people from New Brunswick to be able to access those resources. It's right here. In some cases, it's just a short walk away for the people of New Brunswick. And I think we can do a lot more if we have a new vision and new leadership to help bridge that gap and get more people to actually go to Rutgers, whether it's as a full-time traditional student or through certification programs or getting other educational opportunities that may already be offered here. I also think that it's really important to have English as a second language opportunities, and that includes doing more to help give folks an opportunity to learn English. We do have a school here for that, but I'd also like to see more conversation cafes and working with neighborhood and nonprofit groups to help folks who want to learn English develop those skills and ultimately get people into good jobs with good educational opportunities.
Thank you. Rebuttals.
I do.
Rebuttal, you have 30 seconds.
For the past 7 years, almost 7 years, I've been knocking on doors with the universities and the colleges here in Middlesex County in regards to developing workforce for all, everybody included. And all I get is no for an answer. So with my program, we will including everybody, and we don't have to depend with the university and the colleges and anybody else to do it. Yes, I am going to implement the programs with the nonprofit organizations to include homeless, everybody.
Thank you, your time is up.
Thank you.
Another rebuttal or not? Okay. Question number 6. Another slightly long one. I'll repeat parts of it. There have been some serious outbreaks of crime in residential, that's bolded, neighborhoods. Numerous solutions have been proposed. Which of the following do you support, and how would you accomplish implementing them? And they are: 1, police, foot and bicycle patrols; 2, security cameras; 3, better street lighting; and 4, other strategies. So it's police, cameras, lighting, and other strategies. And we'll start with Charlie Gradeville.
Yes, thank you for the question. We've seen from the current administration, whenever there's some controversy, they say, oh, we're going to start doing more foot patrols and bike patrols, and they do it for a short time and then they stop doing it. I think we need to make a real commitment to getting our police out of the vehicles and spending a lot more time on foot patrol. It's just more community oriented. You tend to have a lot more good conversations with the public when you're getting out of the vehicle, and you look less like an occupying army, and you're more likely to actually get support from the community when you need their help. So I do support, police doing foot patrols. I do support having more officers who actually live in New Brunswick, more officers who are bilingual, and building those ties to the community. It starts from the top, and unfortunately, the hands-off approach that the leadership has is just drive around in your vehicle, until something bad happens, and then make sure you answer the call. But by then it's already too late. Somebody's already been hurt or worse. I think, we need obviously better street lighting. I do think that, cameras can help solve crimes, but they don't stop crimes from happening. We see crimes all the time in New Brunswick, and thanks to my lawsuit that I brought against the city, we now have access to much more transparency about violent crime in the city. They were not following the Open Public Records Act and not being transparent about what was going on. But now I'm getting access to the information about violent crime, and it's disturbing. We see, again, most of these crimes are not getting solved at all. And many of them, if not most, are random attacks, people just being jumped, mugged, robbed on our streets. We need to do something to make it safer. I think it needs a comprehensive approach. And so I would encourage folks to check out my website, charlieforchange.com, to see some of the things I support when it comes to making our city safer.
Thank you. Maria Powell?
Yes, one of the biggest things that I decided to run for mayor is exactly that, safety for our city. I am a senior, and there's thousands of us that don't feel safe. Right here in the area where I live, we have shootings almost every other day, almost every other week. Nothing solved. And I know it's not the police's fault or anything like that. It's our leadership. So I want to have a safe city, a city that I can walk in, a city that I can go and feel safe, to go to the pharmacy, to go to the store, to go with my friends, to go and visit the families and not feel threatened by any means. One of the things that I done throughout my life, I lived in the most dangerous city in the United States of America, which is San Bernardino, California. We have 3 borders with Mexico. So everything that we get through there from Mexico and Latin America, the bad and the ugly and the worst, we have it through there. And I learned through all of those processes. So it takes a really, really great program. And also it takes policing, it takes technology and intelligence to resolve these safety issues. And I know how to resolve that issue. And for all of that, I have a great program in safety city and cleaner city for our community.
Thank you. Rebuttals? No? All right. Next question. There seem to be more economically struggling people along our streets. Do you have any strategies to address this beyond shelters? And we'll start with Maria Powell.
Yes, my background is in business administration and economics. I know how to start a business. I know how to grow a business, and I know how to meet payroll and pay taxes. So post-COVID, I have developed the most comprehensive economic recovery plan for our city, for each and every one of our business owners in the city. And no one is going to be left behind, because I've been there and done that. So the most important part of our city is economic recovery, so we can resolve all of our other issues like safety, education, water protection, and everything else. If we don't have a good thriving private sector, business sector, we don't have anything else. So my focus will be to implement this program for better economic recovery for our business owners in the city of New Brunswick.
Thank you. Charlie Cradaville.
Yes, another great question. It's very unfortunate that a third of our residents are living in poverty, and whether they have homes or not, there is a dire need for social services. And so as mayor, I would expand our Department of Social Services with social workers to help people access the services that are available. There are many services available that are difficult to navigate, to say the least, for people who are struggling, many of whom do not have a permanent address, and many of the requirements to get through these services or get to these services are antiquated and illogical. So I would like to help tear down those barriers, help people get the services they need. I think we can recognize that, criminalizing homelessness is as ineffective as it is inhumane, and half-hearted attempts to provide temporary shelter or sporadic resources really do nothing to solve the root problem. So addressing homelessness does mean providing stable, permanent housing. And to do that, we will build emergency housing units to provide safety and dignity to those among us who are struggling here. They deserve that. And I think the people of New Brunswick will be better off if we can take that housing first approach to help the people we see on the streets every day. And once we get them in housing, we can help get them the services they need, whether that is assistance with food, assistance with addiction, or medical care. There's so many things that are holding back people and holding them down in poverty, but we need to get them housing first so that we can actually have a real pathway to addressing those needs and helping the folks who have need for assistance.
Governor Roboto.
You have go ahead.
Most of the people that I spoke with, Charlie, they don't want hands out. They want a job. They want jobs. They want economic development. They want businesses to thrive so they can open their own businesses as well. Once we get our economy stable in the city, now we have the money to stabilize everything else, which is social services. But thousands of people that I speak with during the course of my campaign, they don't want handouts. They want jobs and opportunity for everybody.
Do you have a rebuttal to that, or should we move on?
Yeah, I think I would like to respond just by saying that, I deal with the homeless community every day here, and what they want and need is a safe, dignified place to rest their head. I think that, the community here, it can be really hard to hold down a job if you don't have a home. So we do need to get folks housing. We also need to have more job opportunities, but the reality is most people aren't going to be able to hold a job if they don't have a house. So we've got to take a housing first approach. We can't wait for that because unfortunately folks are struggling right now.
Thank you. Okay. Question 8. Access to public transportation, both within the city and to job opportunities beyond the city, is limited, especially from certain neighborhoods. And some of you have already talked about this a little. How would your administration work with the various transportation providers in the city to improve access to jobs, supermarkets, healthcare locations, and other necessary services? And we'll start with Charlie Pettiville.
Yes, thank you for the question. I am a big supporter of public transportation. It's one way that we can make our community more accessible for the people who can't afford or don't want to own a car. But unfortunately, our public transportation options were never great, and they're worse than they were 4 years ago. I have a plan to build out a better bus system, a unified, coherent system that will connect our neighborhoods and connect so many of the great things we have in New Brunswick. But we need partnership with Rutgers University, with the county government, and with NJ Transit to make one system, a system that'll be easy to access, free of charge, with a mobile app that folks can check to find out when the next bus is coming, and actually have reliable, frequent, standardized service that folks can count on. Unfortunately, we have right now a very fragmented system of different routes run by different entities with different rules. And unfortunately, many of those were cut back in the pandemic and have not returned. So folks who used to enjoy bus service to get to opportunities no longer have that. We need to bring it back. We need to make it better. We need to make it coherent and comprehensive. And I have a plan for that. I actually put that together 4 years ago when I ran for mayor. And it was a very popular idea because so many people here struggle with our traffic and parking problems. And we could actually get a clean electric bus system that would have a very high ridership and help get people in and out of our downtown without having to deal with that traffic and parking mess. So I think it would be a great success and help people get to where they want. It would also make our streets safer and cleaner and enable us to grow and have more people come to the city and enjoy the things we have. But it's going to take work. I fought for bus shelters, and Livingston Avenue now has 8 new bus shelters because of my advocacy. I'm going to continue that advocacy when I'm in office.
Thank you. Maria Powell?
Yes, having served with 4 different governors in the state of California and Transportation Commission and different commissioners in regards to transportation, I have a really, really extensive experience in regards to transportation, public transportation. So one of the, I am not dreaming here and I'm not promising anything to anybody. It looks like my opponents just make promises. I have the experience to do it, and I will be implementing the transportation system that we have implemented in California for the past 35 years, which has been very, very effective, including the disabled communities. Here in the state of New Jersey, the city of New Brunswick, we don't even have the services and transportation for the disabled communities, let alone for everybody else. So the plan to implement the program is very, very clear to me. It's not going to take me years to implement because I have the experience to do it, and I will do it as soon as I take office.
Thank you. Rebuttal? No? All right. Next question. What is your plan to directly support small business development for Black/African American business owners? We'll start with Maria Powell.
As a business owner for many, many, many years with my family, myself, I know what it takes to run a payroll and to pay taxes and to pay rent and to pay everything that takes to be a business owner. With my plan of economic recovery for the city, I have implemented tax incentives for each and every business owner of the city to recover, not just from the state level, but also federal level, because there is enough tax incentives for everyone that owns a business here in the city of New Brunswick, the state of New Jersey, and across of the United States of America. So I will be implementing those programs for all of these business owners to get the tax incentives, to get the recovery tax incentives, to retain their employees, and also to give them an economic relief to stay in business. I will implement that the first 90 days in office as soon as I take office.
Thank you. Charlie Clatterville.
Yes, thanks for the question. I think that the approach of the current administration has been very much one that pits big business against small business. I will be a mayor who will defend our small businesses and advocate for them. That includes Black-owned businesses and businesses that serve the Black community here in New Brunswick. We deserve to have a variety of businesses in our city, not just large corporations that are typically owned and controlled by people who don't live anywhere near New Brunswick. But unfortunately, under the current administration, they have pushed a gentrification agenda that has pushed out many small businesses and actually made it harder for the ones we have left to survive. Typically, through the parking authority, they have worked to buy up land in downtown and push out whoever's in their way. So I won't be doing that. I will actually take an approach to working with the business owners who are here and helping make it an environment where we want to support and help keep those businesses here and find a way for them to survive and thrive. And that means working together with nonprofit sector, religious institutions, and ultimately the community itself to make sure they know about which businesses are locally owned, which businesses are supported and owned by community members. And together, I think we can actually make it a city with a diversity of businesses that serve the different needs of the different communities here instead of a homogeneous corporate business community where folks are taking profits and taking them off to wherever their corporate headquarters might be. I want more local businesses, and that includes Black-owned businesses and businesses to serve the Black community.
Thank you. Rebuttals?
Yes,
You
I
have-
think that the business prosperity should be for all, not just for certain groups. I think that prosperity for our city, our economic recovery should include everybody, Latinos, Americans, everybody, African Americans, everybody. We cannot just depend on selecting one group to create economic recovery in our city. So we need to be prepared for everybody and all of us at once.
Thank you. Another? All right. Next question. How would you improve the city's communications with its residents to make sure that residents know of all existing and new programs and events available in New Brunswick? And we'll start with Charlie Gradeville.
Sure. Yeah, great question. As a communications professional, somebody who started a community newspaper here, I care a lot about access to information and equal access to information. That's why I fought so hard to get more transparency about violent crime here. But as mayor, I would also make sure that we have lots more transparency about the good things we're doing. We need to take advantage of social media channels that the city already has, an email list that the city already has. And instead of using that to put out political propaganda or slanted information, we should put out access to real, meaningful programs, services, and good things that the city can do. So I would like to include the community and take input from the community. We would actually have a monthly public forum in English and Spanish if I'm elected on different key issues facing the city. And as different projects move forward, whether it's repaving our roads or fixing up our parks, we will include the community from day one and use those communications channels to solicit input and feedback on our plans so that we're not just springing things on the public and telling them, here's the ideas that we came up with behind the scenes and you're going to have to live with it. We actually want it to be a two-way communication where we're taking input from the community. So not only will I have an email address, but we'll make full use of our social media channels and other communications outlets to solicit input and make it so we have the community buy-in we need for our agenda to succeed and actually make the city better for all.
Thank you. Maria Powell.
Yes. The doors of the city hall will be open doors for the entire community, so they can communicate with me. They don't have to have appointments. They don't have to be intimidated to talk to me. Everybody will have access to me because I will have a city hall open doors for everybody, not just English and Spanish, but every single language that might be needed. Also, I will have daily interactive digital communications with the community in every single language, so everyone can understand what Maria Powell is doing to day-to-day daily operations with the city hall and with our city. So I can have participation from everybody. I will have a complete smart city, a digital city, where I will be communicating to everybody and through the social media, also the outlets, radio, television. If I have to have our own local radio and our own local TV station, we will do that as well, because it's very, very important. In communications, we have to understand that we have to communicate in so many different ways because we serve a very, very diversified community. It's not just social media, it's everything and it's everybody. So we have to speak a very universal language to get the message out there, to be able to have a very, very good and clear communication with the citizens of New Brunswick.
Thank you. Rebuttal?
Yeah, I would just add that I think it's really important for having video access to government meetings, so public meetings. As Ms. Powell alluded to, we need to bring everybody in and have it be a truly public setting, and that means recording the meetings, putting them online for people to watch who can't make it there, and also having the ability for folks to join remotely and participate in things like the planning board or the environmental commission from their home or from their device. I think that's really important too.
Thank you. Comment on that? Yeah. Next question. What is your assessment of the development objectives for New Brunswick embodied in the Middlesex County 2040 plan? We'll start with Maria Powell.
Well, my assessment to all of that is not one that benefits the entire community. So I really think that we need to think twice before we continue on with this one-sided programs. Programs have to be for everybody, and it has to include the entire community. And I'm speaking for the city of New Brunswick. Every citizen, whether they vote or not, as long as they have the means to participate, everybody has to be part of all of this process and make decisions, very, very good decisions in regards to all of these programs and developments and everything that the county and the city has going. Nobody participates except certain people. So I oppose to all of that. And when I take office, I will make sure that the entire community participates, every citizen participates in making all of these decisions for the best interest of our city.
Thank you. Charlie Credible.
Yes, thanks. Two things. So one, we definitely do need community engagement and involvement in development. As I've mentioned before, the current development is skewed very much toward big business over small business and towards wealthy people over the existing residents. That needs to change. We need community-focused development that meets the needs of the people who are already here. Those are the people that I would be elected to serve, and those are the people I will serve. And that is the vision I have for a New Brunswick that's going to be more inclusive and actually make people want to and be able to stay in New Brunswick. The second point is that our county government is also an important asset. They are based here in New Brunswick. You obviously know we have the county courthouse, the county administration, and many other county services based out of our city. We need to have a better partnership where we're fighting for our own residents in that partnership. That includes getting them to help with a better bus system, but also it means that we need them to protect our air, water, and climate. Right now, Middlesex County is going along with a plan to build a dirty gas power plant just 5 miles outside of New Brunswick. That is something we all need to take a stand against. And it's something that really doesn't fit neatly into the Destination 2040 plan. The types of development we should have are development that has good quality, affordable housing, that has good, vibrant community businesses, not dirty gas power plants. It's 2022. We know by now that those types of development harm human health and they put our future at risk because of the climate crisis. So we need to stand strong against dirty, dangerous developments, even if the political power players are trying to push them through. And we need to advocate through the county government to defend us and defend our air, water, and climate.
Thank you. Rebuttal. All right. What are the major programs the city of New Brunswick should initiate to make the city more prepared to meet the challenges of climate change? We were talking about that a little. Charlie Credible.
Yeah, great question. It's an issue that's near and dear to my heart ever since I learned about the threat that the climate crisis poses. I've tried to fold that into every advocacy and every policy that I've ever worked on. So it's one reason I support a better bus system with clean electric buses that won't pollute our air. It's a reason that I don't support developing in areas that are going to flood and putting people at risk. I think it's also why we need to transition to clean renewable energy. And as I mentioned before, the current plan to build another dirty gas power plant 5 miles outside of New Brunswick is not just objectionable, it is obscene. It needs to be stopped, and we cannot allow it. So I will stand strong on that issue. And I'll actually work to get us more solar energy so that we can have a microgrid where we'll be able to power our essential services even in a natural disaster. And we've got to get off of fossil fuels. So that includes moving to electric vehicle fleets for the city and its vehicles, but also we need to actually get that renewable generation capacity online by having more solar panels and incentivizing that. We have several large warehouses in the city where there's no energy being generated, but it's drawing energy from the grid. We need to actually get solar panels on those roofs and work to do what we can with Rutgers to establish a comprehensive plan to make sure that our city and the university is going to be safe in any sort of natural disaster that may happen. Unfortunately, the climate crisis is already upon us. We've seen storms, we've lost people to those storms, and we're now experiencing wildfires and droughts, and we've got to be prepared. We've got to make the big changes now, and I'm the man to do it.
Thank you. Maria Powell?
Yes, I have created a very comprehensive plan in regards to cleaner cities and healthier cities for climate change. And one of the biggest thing that includes this plan is food conservation, water conservation, energy, and most importantly, safe environment for everyone in transportation. As you know, post-COVID, our food distribution, food production has taken its toll. So I am planning, or my plan will include to develop a very, very healthier city in regards to food production, food distribution, and most importantly, implementing those two sectors, it will take care of the environment, because we need cleaner cities in regards to our air quality, water quality, and transportation as well. So I'm very well experienced in those sectors. So I will implement that program for healthier and cleaner cities in regards to quality of life and also the quality of climate change.
Rebuttal? No? All right. We are actually coming to the last question. So we may well be getting done fairly soon. And the last question is, are there specific infrastructure changes you would like to initiate in New Brunswick? We'll start with Maria Powell.
Yes, we do have some warehousing developing going on across the city, and also many other infrastructure buildings, etc., that is going up along different parts of the city. One of the biggest things that I like to implement with those warehousing development, it is the production of food for food safety, and most importantly for food distribution, and also our supply chain. Our supply chain has taken its toll during the COVID crisis. National and international, our food supply chain is completely broken. So I see the city of New Brunswick being the prototype city model for the rest of the state of New Jersey in regards to resolving the food supply chain, and also our national and international supply chain to be able to afford, and most importantly, to move goods faster and better than ever before, and to prevent another tragedy like the one that we're living now in regards to our food distribution across the United States. And we can start here in the city of New Brunswick, and that is the use that I will put forward in regards to infrastructure in our city.
Thank you. Charlie Cladeville?
Thank you for the question. In terms of infrastructure, I already mentioned my plans for a clean energy microgrid and getting solar panels in more places in the city. I also think we need to ensure that our water utility has the infrastructure it needs to deliver clean drinking water to everyone. I was deeply troubled to cover the scandal when the Cahill administration covered up problems with the drinking water. And unfortunately, that came during a time period where the water utility had no permanent director, and a lot of the maintenance that should have been going on was deferred and not being done. Thanks to our work, things have turned around and are going in the right direction, but we can't stop. We need to make sure to make those investments. It's easy to ignore the things that are, that most people don't think about every day, like where the water goes when you flush your toilet or how the water gets to your faucet. But we do need to invest in our water and sewer infrastructure to maintain it and make sure that folks are always getting clean drinking water. And if there ever is a problem, you can guarantee that we will be transparent about that problem immediately with the public. What happened was unconscionable and criminal. And as such, someone was sent to prison for that crime. But we need to do better. We need to avoid those problems by investing in our water utility infrastructure, upgrading the treatment plant and the distribution infrastructure. I also think we need safer streets. So we've got to make more of our streets home to protected bike lanes, make some of our two-way streets into one-way streets so that we can have safer intersections for pedestrians, for cars, and for bikes, because right now a lot of these streets are really dangerous and many of them are just too wide and too much traffic on them. Unfortunately, people lose their lives to car crashes every year. We want to stop that.
Did you hear me? I asked if there was a rebuttal. I didn't know I was muted. Each candidate will now have 2 minutes for a closing statement. We'll do it in the reverse of the original order. And again, the timekeeper will give 30 seconds warning. So we'll start with Maria Powell, 2 minutes.
I want to thank you very, very much for the opportunity to be part of this forum. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you, Charlie, for participating with me. And also, I would like to extend, most importantly, the opportunity for the audience to take a look at all of the proposals that we have forward. I thank you very, very much for everyone that has participated during the course of my campaign. And most importantly, I thank everyone that has put in the information forward. And also, I would like to have everyone to join us this November 8th and vote for your best candidate, for the best person to do the job. I thank you very much for the experience, and I know that I have what it takes to be that candidate, to be the next mayor of the city of New Brunswick, because of my experience, because my expertise, and also my lifetime experiences. So I would like to bring all of that to make things better and easier for every person, men, women, and children and seniors here in the city of New Brunswick. I learned to love this city, and I would like to have a city that I can be safe, that I can be happy, and a city that I can grow old. So for all of that, I am very, very thankful that I'm participating in this race, and also that I am participating with such a great people, including Charlie and all of you in this forum. Thank you very, very much. And also thank you for my ladies that have helped me to the process with the volunteers, every single one of you. Thank you so very much for all your help.
Thank you. Charlie Carville.
Yes, and thank you to everyone who made this night possible. The people of New Brunswick make this place so special, whether it's the local business owners on French Street, the kids skateboarding or playing basketball in Pine Street Park, or the young immigrant families who I call my neighbors here on Saddam Street. New Brunswick is truly a place of great diversity and culture. But for far too long, the communities that have made New Brunswick so unique and special are the very same people getting pushed out of our city. Violent crime, a lack of public transportation options, and the increasing cost of living are pushing people and families out. Families no longer feel safe taking their kids out to play in the parks, and residents often feel unsafe in their own homes, on their own blocks. And without robust community centers for kids to enjoy positive activities like the old YMCA, we're left with many missing out on their childhood and at times getting into trouble due to the lack of resources and activities. The cost of living has also increased immensely. Even if you make a decent wage, these new apartment buildings here don't have rent control and they're just not affordable. Many are leaving New Brunswick, not because they have to, not because they want to, but because they have to. And we deserve so much better. If I'm elected mayor, I will serve full-time and make myself available for all the residents in the city. There's clearly a lot of work to be done, but with community engagement and focus, we can make this a safer, more affordable city for all. If anyone wants to talk directly, feel free to call or text me at 732-993-9697 or find me on social media at Charlie for Change. You can help us win this campaign by volunteering or donating at charlieforchange.com. And I hope that if you're able to vote in this election, that I'll earn your support. Thank you, New Brunswick.
Thank you. So let me offer thanks to the candidates who participated in this forum and to everyone listening to inform yourself better about the election. Remember to vote. As you know, election day is November 8th, but nowadays you don't have to wait till November 8th to vote. I'm going to turn it back to the sponsors. I believe they have a closing statement that will talk a little bit about voting mechanisms and availability and means you can use. Steve, are you going to take it over?
Yes, I'm going to take it over in 1 second. It's not. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Greater New Brunswick area, I would like to thank our moderator, Ed Gracely, for volunteering his time to moderate this forum. More importantly, we all deeply appreciate candidates Charlie Cradaville and Maria Powell for sharing their time and their views with us tonight on the important issues facing New Brunswick going forward. The League would like to remind all voters that Election Day this year is Tuesday, November 8th. In addition to the mayoral race here in New Brunswick, there are races for county commissioner and to determine who our representative in Congress will be. If you are not registered to vote, if you have moved since the last time you voted, or if you have changed your name, you must register or update your registration by October 18th. There are 3 ways to vote this year. You can vote by mail. If you need to request an application for a vote by mail ballot, go to vote.nj.gov. Remember, vote by mail ballots cannot be returned to the polling place. You must mail them or use a ballot drop box. You can vote early using an actual voting machine between Saturday, October 29, and Sunday, November 6th. Polls are open between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. except Sundays when they close at 6 p.m. You can vote early at any early voting location in Middlesex County. The early voting location in New Brunswick this year is the New Brunswick Hub Teen Center, 411 Joyce Kilmer Avenue. You can vote on Election Day, Tuesday, November 8th, at your local polling location. If you are voting in person, either early or on Election Day, the Middlesex County Board of Elections asks that you bring the sample ballot that you will receive in the mail with you, if possible. The sample ballot contains information that will help speed your registration process at the polls. Go to vote411.org for voter registration information, early voting locations, polling locations, and more. Please vote. Thank you for viewing this forum. I now turn to Bruce Morgan of the NAACP for final remarks.
Hello. Am I off? Okay. Hello. I'd like to thank those of you who have taken the time to view this presentation, so you'll have a chance to learn about the candidates hoping to represent you right here in New Brunswick. I thank our colleagues at the League of Women Voters of Greater New Brunswick and the League of Women Voters of New Jersey for having us as partners to bring this forum to you. I also want to thank Ed Gracely for moderating tonight's forum. And certainly, I must thank the candidates, Charlie Cradiville and Maria Powell, for taking time from their campaign schedule, which I know is hectic, to join us tonight, ask some questions, and allow their constituents the opportunity to learn of their vision for their New Brunswick community. Before we depart, I'd like to give you the telephone number for the Election Protection Hotline. This hotline is staffed by lawyers and election specialists 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The number is 866-OUR-VOTE. That's 866-687-8683. You may use this number to report any violation of your voting rights, any mishaps at your polling location, or if you just believe your right to vote is in any way encumbered. Of course, you can always find us by searching www.newbrunswickareanaacp.com. Finally, I wish you have a great evening. Enjoy, and please vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I believe we can stop recording now.